The music industry promises wealth, fame, and success beyond most people's wildest dreams. But for some R&B stars, the glittering heights of superstardom gave way to unimaginable lows, including losing absolutely everything and ending up on the streets. These aren't stories of artists who struggled before fame. These are tales of performers who had it all, touched millions with their music, and then watched their lives collapse on so completely that they found themselves without even a place to call home. From funk legends living in vans to pop icons losing mansions to foreclosure, these shocking falls from grace reveal just how quickly fortune can disappear in the entertainment world. Here are 10 heartbreaking stories about R&B stars who became homeless. The funk legend who chose van life Sly Stone revolutionized music in the 1960s and 70s as the mastermind behind Sly and the Family Stone. The band fused funk, soul, and psychedelic rock into something the world had never heard before, producing 3 #1 singles, including Everyday People, Thank You for Letting Me Be Mice Elf Again, and Family Affair. During their peak years, Stone lived in a sprawling 5,432 square foot mansion in Beverly Hills that once belonged to John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, where he hosted legendary parties attended by Stevie Wonder, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Etta James, and Miles Davis. He also owned property in Napa Valley that included a house and vineyard. The money seemed endless and the lifestyle reflected it, with Stone embodying the excess and glamour of rock stardom at its absolute zenith. But decades of cocaine abuse, financial mismanagement, and what friends later described as severe paranoia gradually stripped away everything he'd built. Stone reportedly sold his music publishing rights to Michael Jackson in 1984 for approximately $1 million, a decision that would haunt him for decades, as those songs continued generating massive royalties for others. By 2009, he'd stopped receiving royalty payments entirely due to ongoing legal battles with his former manager, Jerry Goldstein, whom Stone accused of fraud and stealing 20 years' worth of royalty payments in a $50 million lawsuit. He lost his Napa Valley property and found himself with nowhere to go. In 2011, reporters discovered Stone living in a white camper van marked with the words "Pleasure Way" on the side, usually parked on a residential street in Crenshaw, one of Los Angeles's rougher neighborhoods made famous as the setting for the film Boys in the Hood. A retired couple who lived on the street allowed him to shower in their home and made sure he ate at least one meal daily, while their son served as his assistant and driver. Inside the cramped van, Stone continued making music on a laptop computer, reportedly recording hundreds of new songs that he kept to himself out of fear that signing with another label would only lead to more exploitation. When asked about his living situation, Stone seemed to embrace it, telling reporters he liked his small camper and had no desire to return to a fixed home because he couldn't stand being in one place and needed to keep moving. His attorney reportedly rented him a nice 4-bedroom house with a pool in Woodland Hills, but Stone refused to stay there, with friends suggesting his decades of drug abuse had left him too paranoid to live indoors. He told the New York Post he still wanted to perform and begged for work, saying people should give him a job and play his music because he was tired of everything. He claimed the FBI was hunting him and that enemies had hired hitmen to kill him, though no evidence supported these fears. Stone's story represents one of music's most tragic falls, a pioneer whose innovations influenced countless artists reduced to living on the street, while the industry he helped create continued profiting from his genius without adequately compensating or protecting him. The pop star's financial collapse. Aaron Carter burst onto the music scene as a child, following in the footsteps of his older brother Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. Born on December 7, 1987, Aaron released his self-titled debut album at just 9 years old in 1997. His second album, Aaron's Party Come Get It, released in 2000, went triple platinum and produced massive hit singles, including the title song and I Want Candy. By his early teens, Carter had sold millions of albums, toured the world, appeared on television shows like Lizzie McGuire, and seemed destined for a long, successful career in entertainment. The money poured in, and young Aaron enjoyed the lifestyle that came with early fame. But as he entered his late teens and early 20s, everything began unraveling in ways that would ultimately prove fatal. His parents divorced, creating family tension and financial complications. He faced mounting troubles with his record label and struggled to transition from child star to adult artist as his music career stalled. In 2008, he was arrested for marijuana possession, marking the beginning of public legal troubles. The following year, he appeared on Dancing with the Stars, hoping to revive his career. But the comeback attempt failed to restore his momentum. Around this time, Carter later admitted he began huffing compressed air from cans bought at Office Depot and Staples, developing an addiction to inhaling the gas that would plague him for years. In 2013, Carter filed for bankruptcy, reporting debts exceeding $3.5 million, much of it from unpaid taxes during the peak of his pop career. The financial collapse left him unable to maintain stable housing. His mental health deteriorated as he battled multiple diagnosed conditions, including schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, and multiple personality disorder, according to a 2019 appearance on The Doctors. Drug tests revealed he was actively using marijuana, opioids like hydrocodone, and benzodiazepines alongside his huffing addiction. Carter entered and left rehab facilities repeatedly, never staying long enough to address the root causes of his addictions. In 2017, after his father died, Carter was arrested for driving under the influence and possession of marijuana. Police were called to his Florida home 4 times over 2 days that September due to concerns for his safety after he reportedly crashed his car, abused drugs and alcohol, and threatened to harm himself and others. Throughout these struggles, Carter experienced periods of homelessness, sometimes sleeping in cars or relying on friends and acquaintances for temporary shelter. His financial situation remained dire even as he continued trying to work, performing at small venues and attempting to rebuild his music career. On November 5, 2022, at age 34, Carter was found dead in the bathtub of his Lancaster, California home. The autopsy revealed he had inhaled difluoroethane from compressed air canisters and taken alprazolam, commonly known as Xanax, becoming incapacitated in the bathtub and drowning as a result. His housekeeper discovered him after he missed an appointment with his drug counselor. Investigators found multiple prescription bottles and numerous cans of compressed air scattered throughout his bedroom and bathroom. Carter's death sparked a wrongful death lawsuit filed on behalf of his young son, Princeton, alleging that doctors and pharmacies overprescribed and supplied excessive amounts of Xanax in the months before his death. The case is set for trial in June 2026. Carter's tragic story demonstrates how child stardom, untreated mental illness, addiction, and financial ruin can create a perfect storm that destroys even the most promising lives. American Idol winner's near-death experience. Fantasia. Barrino captured America's heart when she won the 3rd season of American Idol in 2004. The Charlotte, North Carolina native overcame tremendous obstacles to get there, entering the competition as a 19-year-old single mother determined to create a better life for herself and her daughter. Her powerful, soulful voice and raw emotional delivery made her an instant star, and her debut single, I Believe, shot straight to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Her first album, Free Yourself, went platinum, and she earned critical acclaim for her 2007 Broadway debut in The Color Purple. Success seemed certain and lasting. Behind the glamorous public image, however, Fantasia faced mounting pressures that threatened to destroy everything she'd built. she became the sole financial support for her extended family, shouldering responsibilities that would overwhelm anyone, let alone someone navigating sudden fame in their early 20s. In 2005, she published a memoir titled Life is Not a Fairy Tale, which led to her father, Joseph Barino, filing a $10 million libel lawsuit against her, claiming the book contained false and malicious untruths about him being money-hungry. The family tension created by the lawsuit was devastating. By 2010, Fantasia's house was in foreclosure as her financial situation spiraled despite her earlier success. She faced ongoing battles with her record label over creative direction and felt lost about her career's future. Then came the scandal that pushed her to the breaking point. In August 2010, a woman named Paula Cook filed a lawsuit claiming Fantasia had carried on a year-long affair with her husband Antoine Cook, with allegations that Fantasia had even recorded their sexual activity, leading to speculation about a potential sex tape. The accusation painted Fantasia as a home wrecker in the court of public opinion. The lawsuit papers devastated her when she read them, with many allegations she knew were false but felt powerless to fight publicly. On August 9, 2010, Fantasia attempted suicide by overdosing on aspirin and sleeping pills. According to the police report, officers responded to a call at 8:43 in the evening at a home on Bevington Place in Charlotte. Fantasia had been found in a closet after ingesting a large quantity of medication. A production crew for her VH1 reality show, Fantasia for Real, had been at her home earlier that day, and neighbors reported everything seemed fine, making the suicide attempt all the more shocking. She was rushed to Mercy South Hospital at Carolinas Medical Center in Pineville with possible internal injuries and was listed as dehydrated and exhausted. Her manager, Brian Dickens, initially downplayed the incident, but Fantasia later spoke candidly about her intentions. In a VH1 Behind the Music episode that aired just weeks after her hospitalization, she made clear it was no accident. "I didn't have any fight in me," she said in the interview. "I didn't care about anything. I just wanted out. At that moment, I wanted out. I wanted it to be over with. All of it. All of that stuff. I just sat in the closet and looked at the mirror and took all the pills in the bottle. I wanted to go to sleep and just be at peace. I knew exactly what I was doing. You can't accidentally take a whole bottle of pills." She described waking up in the hospital and thinking about the media circus that would follow, worried about facing even more public scrutiny and drama. A nurse told her something that changed her perspective, looking at her and saying firmly, "You gotta get up and you've gotta get out of here because you haven't fulfilled your destiny." Those words resonated deeply. While Fantasia never experienced literal street homelessness, her house in foreclosure and complete financial devastation placed her on the brink of losing everything. Her story represents how quickly success can evaporate when financial pressures, family obligations, public scandals, and mental health struggles converge. Today, Fantasia has rebuilt her life and career, marrying businessman Kendall Taylor and finding renewed purpose in her music and faith. She speaks openly about that dark period as a reminder that even those who seem to have everything can reach breaking points where survival feels impossible. When millions disappeared into addiction, Eddie Johns may not be a household name, but his contribution to music history is undeniable. Born in Liberia, Johns was 28 years old in 1979 when he released his album More Spell on You in Europe. The title track featured punchy disco production with brassy horns and Johns' pleading vocals about desperate love. 4 on-the-floor rhythms were popular among rockers at the time, but West African acts like Fela Kuti and Manu Dibango had become international stars, and John saw an opportunity to make it big by blending these influences. The single showed promise, and he followed it with another album, the suave and synth-inflected Paris Metro, in 1980. But Johns admits he didn't know how to navigate the record business and got so caught up in everything that he didn't secure proper legal protection for his work. His music career stalled out before it ever truly took off, and like so many others, he came to California hoping for a fresh start. What happened next demonstrates how the music industry can profit enormously from an artist's work while leaving the creator with nothing. In 2001, French electronic duo Daft Punk recorded their album Discovery and found Johns' track More Spell on You in their crate digging. They chopped the song's champagne fizzy horn sections into short samples and rearranged them into new hooks for the track One More Time. That song became Daft, Punk's biggest hit to date and their first million-selling single. It transformed them from a respected club music act into one of the most popular electronic groups on earth. Pitchfork called One More Time the fifth best song of the 2000s, and Rolling Stone named Discovery one of the 500 best albums of all time in any genre. The song helped Daft Punk win Grammy Awards and achieve global superstardom. Johns says he hasn't seen a dime from it. You can watch amateur producers on YouTube slice up More Spell on You into a capable facsimile of One More Time in real time, cutting, equalizing, and stutter-stepping the horns to recreate the song's regal thump. Daft Punk and American singer Romanthony wrote a new vocal melody on top of it, but the audio signature of the track comes directly from Johns' original recording. While Daft Punk verified they sampled the song, proper compensation apparently never reached Johns. For more than a decade, Johns struggled with homelessness in Los Angeles, a painful irony given that his music was generating revenue for one of the world's most successful electronic acts. He suffered a stroke 10 years ago that left him unable to work, forcing him onto the streets and into shelters. By 2021, when reporters investigated his story, Johns was 70 years old and had been living in supportive housing provided by the Charity Path, but only after years of sleeping rough. His case manager, Alyssa Cash, described helping him use computers to access some of his old music online, where he could see how his work had been transformed into a global hit while he received nothing. The story highlights how sampling in hip-hop and electronic dance music has scrambled ideas about who owns a song and who deserves payment. Initially, artists used sampling freely to mine music history and create new tracks on a budget. But after Irish singer-songwriter Gilbert O'Sullivan successfully sued rapper Biz Markie in 1991 for using a piece of his hit, Alone Again Naturally, the legal calculus changed in favor of sampled artists. Today, streaming has buoyed the recorded music industry and made older songs more accessible, causing the projected value of songwriting copyrights to skyrocket. Superstars like Bob Dylan and Paul Simon recently sold rights to their songs to publishing giants for hundreds of millions of dollars. Companies like Hipgnosis Songs Fund have spent billions purchasing songwriting catalogs from artists ranging from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Carol Bayer Sager. Meanwhile, Johns spent years homeless and broke, while his music helped make others wealthy. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of legal protection for artists and the music industry's historical exploitation of performers who lack the knowledge or resources to protect their work. The child prodigy's forgotten talent, Tevin Campbell, was introduced to the world at age 12 in 1989 through a collaboration with legendary producer Quincy Jones. His elastic, richly textured voice on the song Tomorrow from Jones's album Back on the Block announced the arrival of a generational talent. Shepherded into Warner Brothers Records by jazz pioneer Bobby Humphrey and signed by Senior Vice President Benny Medina, Campbell seemed destined for superstardom. His 1991 debut album Tevin went platinum, featuring the hit Tell Me What You Want Me to Do, which peaked at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100. But it was his 1993 double platinum sophomore album, I'm Ready, that cemented his status as one of R&B's brightest stars. The album included 2 songs penned by Babyface, Can We Talk, which reached number 9 on the Hot 100 and number 1 on the R&B charts, and the title track, I'm Ready, which also topped the R&B charts. Between ages 14 and 16, Campbell recorded with an incredible roster of producers including Prince, Babyface, Al B, Shure, Daryl Simmons, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, and Narada Michael Walden, all royalty in the R&B and pop production world. His voice provided the soundtrack to countless relationships throughout the 1990s, and he even voiced the character Powerline in Disney's A Goofy Movie, further expanding his reach. Everything pointed toward a career that would span decades at the top of the charts. Then came July 1999, when Campbell was 22 years old. He was arrested after soliciting oral sex from an undercover police officer during a sting operation in Van Nuys, California. According to police reports, marijuana residue was also found in his car during the arrest. The sting operation was conducted in an area near Van Nuys High School, where there had been numerous public complaints about cruising and solicitation. Campbell pleaded no contest to the misdemeanor solicitation charge and was ordered to pay $80.50 in fines, attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and participate in a court-sanctioned AIDS awareness class. He returned to court in February 2000 to provide proof he'd completed the requirements. The arrest effectively outed Campbell at a time when being gay or even perceived as gay could destroy a black male R&B singer's career. The late 1990s represented perhaps the most hostile era for male gayness in modern popular culture, with even the slightest perception of homosexuality becoming fodder for vicious mockery. Campbell attempted to address the situation in a disastrous 2003 interview with Jamie Foster Brown in Sister to Sister magazine, where he described himself as trisexual, explaining he liked trying different things sexually, but refusing to label his orientation. The awkward interview only generated more negative attention and speculation. Campbell's third album, Tevin Campbell, released in 1990, just months after his arrest, failed to recapture his earlier success despite production work from Wyclef Jean and others. The lead single, Another Way, barely cracked the R&B Top 30, and the album charted below expectations. His squeaky clean teen idol image had been permanently tarnished, and the music industry largely abandoned him. For years afterward, Campbell struggled with substance abuse issues that he kept largely private, though those close to him noted signs of hard living. While he never became literally homeless in the sense of sleeping on streets, reports suggest he experienced housing instability and financial difficulties throughout the 2000s as work dried up and opportunities vanished. He made occasional appearances on shows like Moesha and eventually found work on Broadway in Hairspray, starting in 2006. But his A-list music career was over. Campbell's story represents how homophobia in the music industry during that era could destroy promising careers. Many fans and industry figures who might have supported him publicly remained silent, afraid of being associated with controversy. It wasn't until 2022, more than 2 decades after his arrest, that Campbell finally felt comfortable officially coming out as a gay man, telling People magazine he'd embraced himself and acknowledged that while he never really hid who he was, you simply couldn't be gay in the industry back then. Today, Campbell speaks about how the pressure of childhood fame, combined with the trauma of forced outing and industry abandonment, led him down destructive paths he spent years recovering from. His voice remains in great condition, a testament to his natural talent. But the career that should have been was stolen by an era's intolerance. The Broadway star's hidden struggles. Al B sure dominated the late 1980s with his smooth New Jack Swing sound and leading man looks. Born Albert Joseph Brown III, he won a Épouse, talent competition that caught the attention of legendary producer Quincy Jones, launching a career that would make him a household name. His 1988 debut album, In Effect Mode, sold more than 3 million copies and topped the Billboard R&B chart, establishing him as one of the era's premier romantic singers. Hits like Night and Day, Off on Your Own Girl, and If I'm Not Your Lover made him a staple on radio and music video channels. He dated and had children with some of the industry's biggest names and seemed to have the world at his feet. But behind the suave public persona, Al B. sure faced serious health battles that would eventually threaten his life and career. By the early 2000s, his music output had slowed dramatically, and he'd largely stepped away from the spotlight, leading many to wonder what had happened to the once ubiquitous singer. The full extent of his health crisis didn't become public until decades later. In December 2020, Al B. sure shared a shocking health update on Instagram. The 52-year-old posted video of a doctor removing drainage tubes from his swollen abdomen and revealed he'd undergone major surgery. He didn't specify exactly what was wrong, but thanked fans for their prayers and credited his doctor with saving his life. Most alarmingly, he disclosed that doctors had told him he only had 4 to 6 months to live if he didn't fix his health issues, calling the prognosis both eye-opening and mind-boggling. He explained he'd had problems with his gallbladder and blockages, but hinted there were other interesting discoveries related to his illness beyond just those issues. Then in 2022 came even more devastating news. Al B. Sure's son revealed on social media that his father had just emerged from a 2-month coma, shocking fans who had no idea the singer had been so critically ill. Details remained scarce, with the family keeping most information private, but it became clear Al B. Sure had faced a life-threatening medical emergency that required extensive hospitalization and left him unable to work or maintain stable housing during his recovery. Reports suggested he'd been in and out of various living situations during his health battles, sometimes staying with family, other times in medical facilities or temporary housing arrangements. While never confirmed to be literally sleeping on streets, his precarious situation during the coma and recovery period represented a form of housing instability that stripped away the security most people associate with having been a successful entertainer. The months-long coma left him with significant rehabilitation needs and an uncertain future. By late 2022 and into 2023, Al B. Sure was slowly recovering, but faced a long road back to health. His case highlights how serious illness can devastate even successful artists who may lack adequate health insurance, savings, or support systems. The medical bills from 2 months in a coma, multiple surgeries, and ongoing treatment can bankrupt anyone, regardless of their past success. Al B. Sure's situation also demonstrates how quickly health crises can derail careers in entertainment, where being unable to work for extended periods means losing income, relevance, and industry connections. Today, Al B. Sure continues his recovery and has hinted at writing a memoir that will address his health struggles and other aspects of his life and career. His story serves as a reminder that even artists who achieved mainstream success and sold millions of records can find themselves vulnerable when health crises strike without adequate safety nets. The anonymous struggle. Not every story of R&B homelessness makes headlines or involves household names. Garaine Jones, who performed under the stage name Steph, represents countless artists who nearly made it big before circumstances sent them spiraling into poverty and homelessness just 5 years before he reinvented himself as a motivational speaker and entrepreneur. Jones was one of R&B's promising crooners positioned to blow up. After a chance meeting with Disturbing the Peace label owner Ludacris, he secured a recording contract with the record company and began penning tracks for major artists. He maintained a public relationship with American Idol winner Jordan Sparks, which raised his profile and seemed to put him on the path to stardom. But in private, the very thing he thought he wanted became the source of his suffering. Jones has spoken about how the pressures of the music industry, combined with personal struggles and six-figure debt, led to a period where he found himself homeless. His journey into homelessness began with a friend named DeRay making him an unusual offer. DeRay told Jones that if he wanted to pursue music seriously, all his bills would be paid. He'd have rent-free housing, clothes, and food covered. But there was one condition. He couldn't come home unless he had a song completed. With no industry connections, Jones got to work hitting up producers on MySpace for records. By the end of 30 days, he had enough music to make an album and was on his way to Los Angeles. The arrangement kept him fed and housed, but it also created enormous pressure to produce constantly or risk losing everything. When that support system eventually fell apart, Jones found himself on the streets with mounting debt and fading music industry prospects. The experience of homelessness became a turning point. Jones has described reaching his absolute lowest point, feeling abandoned by the industry that had once seemed so promising. One day, while at a gas station, he ran into a homeless man asking for change. The man looked at him and said, "Change your mindset, change your life," before walking away. Those words stopped Jones in his tracks and interrupted his thought process completely, making him think that if he did the opposite of everything he normally did, his life would change. Jones decided to walk away from music entirely and reinvent himself. He began working with Herbalife and developed a motivational speaking career focused on personal development and mindset transformation. He wrote a book and started traveling the world sharing his story of going from homeless R&B singer to successful entrepreneur. His case demonstrates how many talented artists cycle through the music industry's bottom rungs, coming close to success but never quite breaking through before circumstances push them into poverty. For every superstar who makes it, countless others find themselves in Jones's situation, caught between dreams of musical success and the harsh reality of unpaid bills, broken promises, and fading opportunities. His story also highlights how the industry often fails to provide meaningful support for developing artists who face personal or financial crises. Record labels invest in artists they believe will generate immediate returns but quickly cut loose those who don't produce hits fast enough. The six-figure debt Jones accumulated while pursuing his music career is common among developing artists who invest their own money in recording, promotion, and other expenses while waiting for labels or management to fulfill promises of support that never materialize. Jones's transformation into a motivational speaker allowed him to escape homelessness and build a new life, but his story represents the thousands of talented singers who never recover from similar setbacks. They remain in the industry's footnotes, their music heard by few, their potential never realized, their struggles invisible to the public that only sees the success stories, the reality show casualty. Sometimes homelessness isn't about drugs or scandal, but about an industry that chews up artists and spits them out once they're no longer profitable. Multiple reality show contestants and brief chart performers have faced housing instability after their 15 minutes of fame expired, leaving them with inflated expectations but no sustainable income. Shows like Making the Band, American Idol, and various VH1 reality programs promised music careers to winners and contestants, but often delivered short-term success followed by abandonment when ratings declined or public interest moved elsewhere. Contestants on these shows frequently signed exploitative contracts that gave production companies significant control over their music and image while providing minimal long-term financial security. Many found themselves unable to tour or release music independently due to contractual restrictions, while the show's producers moved on to new seasons with fresh faces. Some contestants have spoken publicly about experiencing homelessness or near homelessness after their reality show moments ended. They describe returning to regular life with no savings, damaged credit from months without income during filming, and few job prospects. Because employers viewed them as overexposed celebrity wannabes rather than serious workers. The psychological impact of sudden fame, followed by complete obscurity, also took its toll. These artists went from performing for millions to struggling to book local club gigs. The whiplash of that experience, combined with financial desperation, led some to make poor decisions that worsened their situations. Friends and family members who'd supported them during their brief success often felt taken advantage of when asked for continued help afterward. The industry's role in creating these situations cannot be overstated. Reality music shows generate enormous profits for networks and production companies through advertising and sponsorships. They exploit the dreams of young performers who believe appearing on television represents their big break. But the shows rarely invest in actual artist development or long-term career building. Contestants receive media training and stylists during filming, but are cut loose immediately after elimination or when their season ends. No guidance on financial planning, no connections to legitimate managers or labels, no transition support. Just a brief moment in the spotlight, followed by a return to obscurity, often in worse shape than before because they've accumulated debt, damaged relationships, and unrealistic expectations. The homelessness faced by reality show casualties differs slightly from that of established stars who fall from grace. These artists never had substantial wealth or infrastructure to lose. Their homelessness stems from industry exploitation and abandonment rather than personal excess. Yet their stories remain largely untold because they never achieved enough fame for the public to care about their struggles afterward. They represent the industry's most vulnerable victims, people whose dreams were used for entertainment value, then discarded when those dreams failed to generate ongoing profit. The gospel. Singers' hidden pain. The transition from gospel to secular R&B has destroyed many careers and lives, with artists finding themselves caught between two worlds and accepted by neither. Gospel music provides a foundation for many R&B singers, teaching vocal technique and performance skills in church settings where talent is celebrated as a gift from God. But when gospel-trained singers pursue mainstream R&B success, they often face harsh judgment from religious communities that view secular music as sinful or compromising. This creates unique pressures for artists trying to honor their roots while also achieving commercial success and artistic growth beyond the constraints of gospel music's lyrical and thematic limitations. Several gospel-trained R&B artists have experienced homelessness or extreme financial hardship after being essentially excommunicated by gospel communities while simultaneously struggling to establish themselves in the more competitive and less supportive secular market. Without the church network that once sustained them through performance opportunities and community support, and without the resources to break through in mainstream R&B, these artists find themselves in a devastating no man's land. Family rejection adds another layer of trauma. Many gospel singers come from deeply religious families who view their choice to pursue secular music as betrayal. Parents and siblings cut off contact, withdrawing both emotional and financial support at precisely the moment when the artist needs it most. The loss of faith community combined with family estrangement leaves artists vulnerable to exploitation by predatory managers, labels, or romantic partners who recognize their isolation and use it to control them. Some gospel-turned R&B artists have also struggled with reconciling their sexuality with their religious upbringing, adding yet another dimension to their struggles. Growing up in environments that condemn homosexuality, then trying to build careers in an R&B industry that has historically been hostile to openly gay artists creates impossible situations. These artists sometimes turn to drugs or alcohol to numb the pain of rejection and identity crisis, which then leads to financial problems, career destruction, and eventually homelessness. The gospel to R&B pipeline continues producing talented artists, but the industry rarely acknowledges or addresses the unique vulnerabilities these performers face. Churches don't prepare gospel singers for the realities of the secular music business, and mainstream labels don't provide the support systems that church communities once offered. Artists caught in the transition find themselves expected to navigate complex business decisions, maintain vocal health without church support networks, and build secular audiences from scratch, all while processing the trauma of being cast out by faith communities that once celebrated them. The one-hit wonder's forgotten story. The concept of a one-hit wonder can be particularly brutal in R&B, where artists who achieved brief commercial success often face even more dramatic falls than those who never chart at all. Having tasted success makes failure more bitter, and the industry's treatment of one-hit wonders can be cruel and dismissive. Radio programmers move on to newer songs. Record labels drop artists who can't replicate initial success, and touring opportunities dry up once promoters determine the artist can't fill venues based on catalog depth. Several R&B one-hit wonders have experienced homelessness after their singles fell off the charts and their labels declined to support follow-up projects. The financial dynamics of one-hit success often create traps for unsophisticated artists. A song that reaches the top 10 generates money, but it comes slowly through royalty payments that trickle in over months and years. Meanwhile, artists often receive record label advances that must be repaid from future earnings when those future earnings never materialize because follow-up singles flop. Artists find themselves owing labels money while having already spent the advance on living expenses, assuming more hits were coming. Some one-hit wonders have described receiving large checks for a successful single, then immediately moving into expensive apartments or buying cars, only to discover 6 months later that their follow-up flopped and no more money was coming. Labels dropped them, managers abandoned them, and landlords evicted them when rent checks bounced. The sudden transition from rising star to unemployed nobody happens so fast that artists barely comprehend what's occurring before they're living in cars or crashing on couches. The psychological toll cannot be understated. These artists internalize messages that they're failures, one-trick ponies who fooled the public temporarily but lacked real talent. Depression sets in as they watch newer artists achieve the sustained success that eluded them. Some turn to drugs to cope with the pain of dreams deferred or destroyed. Others become bitter and angry, burning bridges with industry contacts who might have helped them rebuild. Family members and friends who celebrated during the hit's success often grow frustrated supporting someone who had their chance and blew it, not understanding the industry dynamics that made sustained success nearly impossible without proper support and development. The stories of R&B one-hit wonders who became homeless rarely get told because these artists lack the fame that would make their struggles newsworthy. They exist in the industry's margins, occasionally appearing at nostalgic concert packages where they perform their one hit for audiences who barely remember them. Between those rare bookings, they struggle to survive, their brief moment of success feeling increasingly like a dream that happened to someone else.